Welcome in to another new AMP podcast. I'm your host, Ben Dubose, and I'm the news editor with the AMP publications team. AMP, of course, is the shorthand acronym for the Association for Materials Protection and Performance, which earlier this year turned 5 years old. AMP is a combination of two legacy organizations, NACE International and SSPC, the Society for Protective Coatings, and obviously their legacies extend out many decades beyond that. So, as part of AMP's 5th anniversary campaign, we've got our ongoing Then and Now Thought Leadership series, which we've been doing throughout the year with interviews on this podcast channel, as well as through our various print and digital platforms at AMP Media. The idea in these conversations is to bring together experts from around the world to discuss where our industry has been, where it is today, and where it's headed next. So, as far as where things stand right now, the bottom line is that the corrosion industry is evolving rapidly. As we speak, artificial intelligence, advanced analytics, digital inspection tools, and workforce challenges are all changing how organizations approach corrosion prevention and asset management. With that in mind, today's conversation is going to be about looking ahead to the future. What technologies are delivering real value today in 2026? What skills will future professionals need? And how can the industry best prepare for its next generation of challenges? To discuss that, we've got three AMP ambassadors joining us whose experience spans data science, AI, cathodic protection, workforce development, training, and global engineering leadership. Will each of you please introduce yourselves? Just start with your full name, your employer, and where it is that you're based in the world. Paola, ladies first. Let's begin with you.
Thank you so much. So hello, everybody. So my name is Paola Postigo, and I work at NaTran, a national gas transport company in France. And so thank you for inviting me to this podcast, Ben.
Absolutely. Happy to have you. And Craig, over to you.
Craig Botha. I'm based in Cape Town, South Africa, but I work globally, and the company that I work for in South Africa is Reignite, and out of the UAE, I work for another company. The abbreviation is RASC, R-A-S-C.
And finally, over to Harsh.
Hi everyone, I'm Harsh Zala, based out of India, working with AsInt, Asset Integrity Specialist. About my profession, I work with major oil and gas companies, protecting their critical infrastructure through corrosion management, risk-based inspection, and use of emerging AI technologies and the product we develop within our company.
Terrific. Thank you all. And with that, let's dive in. As a disclaimer off the top, some of these questions and subject areas are going to be specific to one person, while others are designed to have multiple responses from the panel. Craig, let's begin with you because you've seen a lot of change throughout your career. What development do you think has had the greatest impact, at least so far, on corrosion engineering?
I think the greatest change I've seen over the past 30 years, Ben, is specifically in access to information, which will speak into the larger AI topic area, is the availability of standards, the availability of the application of standards, and then accessibility of those same standards to a far broader audience. As AMP has grown to a membership in excess of 42,000 individual members, if I'm correct, this footprint has just really grown to a global scale. So we're really becoming a transnational organization. This year I've started on the AMP board and also as an AMP ambassador, and I've seen how this accessibility to information, the technology and the application of it has really accelerated access to end users, asset owners, and this is on a global scale. This is not just in North America, this is in the Middle East, Asia, Southeast Asia. So those are critical areas where I've seen dramatic change. And so there's a greater acceptance. And so it's not just understanding of corrosion, but it's the application and being aware that, for example, that AMP is a primary thought leader in the development of standards. That's probably one of the greatest changes is access to knowledge.
Paola, you're one of the leaders of the next generation, at least as I see it. So when people talk about the future of corrosion engineering, what do they get right and what do they get wrong?
Oh, That's a great question, Ben, because I think that the industry is experiencing both excitement and a little bit of a hype right now. What people get right is that corrosion engineering is definitely becoming more digital. If you look at what major companies are talking about today, whether in oil and gas, offshore wind, chemicals or infrastructure, there is a huge focus on sensors, remote monitoring, predictive maintenance, AI, and digital twins. The idea is that instead of finding corrosion during a shutdown or inspection, we can continuously monitor assets and predict problems before they become failures. That's a real shift in how we think about asset integrity. For example, imagine a subsea pipeline 20 years ago. You might inspect it periodically and hope you catch any degradation in time. Today, the vision is to combine real-time monitoring data with predictive models so you can identify high-risk areas much earlier and make smarter maintenance decisions. That is incredibly powerful now. So corrosion is not a data problem. I think corrosion is fundamentally a material and electrochemical problem. And I think that the future is not about replacing corrosion engineers with AI or technology. It's about giving corrosion engineers better tools to predict problems earlier, make smarter decisions, and help industry operate more safely, sustainably, and efficiently. I think, and honestly, that's what makes the future of our field so exciting.
So you mentioned AI, and Harsh, I want to bring you in there because you're someone that already early in your career, you're working with AI, you're working with advanced analytics. On those fronts, what do you think your generation sees differently about corrosion engineering relative to the previous generations?
Yeah, AI plays a currently major role within not only in oil and gas industry but across the globe. And I think with the current generations, we see corrosion engineering as a data-driven decision, not only the fundamentals which we taught. And again, I wanted to emphasize the engineering judgment will remain the key focus. But here, what AI is doing is helping us to answer, get more information out of what we have existing. What all existing information we have, AI is helping us to get some trends, identify some of the trends which takes usually a day or two to identify by a corrosion engineer. But AI is helping us to analyze, break down those trends in a simpler manner so that everyone can understand that part more better. And currently, even while I'm working with major oil and gas companies, helping them in risk-based inspection, as Paula mentioned previously, so we are shifting from time-based inspection to risk-based inspection. And that is a huge paradigm shift which I am seeing currently. And this is because we have a lot of data. Our industry has tremendous amount of data. So how AI is tapping into to extract information, help others understand fundamentals more better with those data insights. So as and when companies move from time-based inspection to risk-based inspections, now I have seen people are utilizing and trusting AI in terms of making some of the decisions and saving not only on the inspection, but critical infrastructure remains reliable and in continue operation. So that's the overall change and paradigm which I'm seeing.
There are a lot of advancements in technology these days, and those are only likely to increase in the years ahead. Yet, regardless of how advanced the technologies become, I know there are some traditional engineering principles or practices that have got to remain in place regardless of the technology. Harsh, can you give an example or two of a traditional engineering practice that needs to remain in place at the center of the profession, regardless of how advanced the new technologies become.
Absolutely. So, as I earlier mentioned, engineering judgment, that is the fundamental principle. So, no matter how advanced AI becomes, it can only work with the information we have given. It doesn't work on the plant, understand the operational context, or carry the accountability which engineer do. So that's the first principle I would say. Understanding the corrosion mechanism, how material are behaving, inspection fundamental, critical thinking. This must have been the fundamental engineering judgment. So AI should support those decisions, not replace them. So the future of AI isn't replacing the engineer, but it's engineer who know how to use AI responsibly while staying grounded in the sound engineering principles.
Craig, as someone that's been around this industry for a while, where do you see the biggest opportunities as well as the biggest limitations with AI?
Ben, that's an excellent question. I really believe that both Paola and Harsh have touched on something critical in terms of the risk-based approach, and then also identifying problem areas before they are fully scaled or at their maximum. So that is probably one of the biggest opportunities. And I believe that in that respect, even in the work that I do, I'm beginning to see that if you've got the principles that Harsh referred to, sound engineering, sound technical understanding, AI can assist you to build tools to accelerate the work you do. So I'm seeing it on the front, firstly, with tools, being able to create statistical analysis of data, algorithms, assessment of information at a scale that historically would have taken a programming team to do. In the second areas that I would never have tried to resolve issues, or I felt that I didn't have the time to do the development. If you've got AI that's layered, you can actually give it tasks to develop analytical tools for you, but it's the application side of it. Areas that we were unable to do, arguably, as individuals, we now have access to it. It doesn't have to be corporate or proprietary software that has to do it. We can do a lot more and it's statistically sound. And then from a limitation point of view, I think I go on to echo what both Paola and Harsh have said. I think there's a human element. If we believe that AI will remove our thinking, then the limitation will be ourselves, because the scale of what we can imagine will determine what we ask AI to do. So let me try and simplify that. AI has ingested in the past 10 years almost all written literature that's available. So the full canon of Shakespeare, the full canon of most research that's been done on corrosion. Now, if I don't know about stress corrosion cracking or cathodic disbondment or about a mechanical fault, I don't know how to access that particular information. Now, unless you give AI a specific environment and a specific set of accurate prompts, it will not know unless you give it enough information. So that to me is the limitation, and filtering that limitation is the corrosion professional that is working in that environment. So it's a limitation, but it's maybe more a caution than a limitation, Ben. It's a very good question.
So the digital transformation and the technologies involved, that's part of the equation, but another part is the workforce and the associated challenges with workforce development because we can adapt to these technologies, we can be up to date on the tools and equipment that we have, but if we don't have the requisite workforce, there's only so much that we can do. So I think we need to look at this as a multi-pronged solution. And Paola, I want to begin with you on the topic of the workforce because you've been passionate about helping students and professionals early in their careers navigate career development, certifications. If you go to materialsperformance.com, you actually had a great article self-authored that you wrote in late June. It correlated with the International Women in Engineering Day, talking about the hurdles that you've overcome and what you're trying to do to give back and address some of these workforce challenges, what are the most common barriers that you see when it comes to the workforce, and what can we potentially do as an industry to mitigate those?
So this is like you said, this is actually a topic what's very close to my heart because throughout my career, I've spent a lot of time speaking with students and earlier career professionals. And I think one of the biggest barriers is not necessarily technical knowledge. Now, it's often guidance. So I remember when I was attending a conference in Italy, and several students and young professionals approached me with questions about their careers. No, and they weren't asking highlight technical questions. They were asking things like, what certification should I pursue? Which path would be best for my background? And how do I move from where I am today to where I want to be? So, and honestly, I still receive those some questions almost every week through LinkedIn. And people write to me from different countries asking for advice on certifications, career development, or how to enter the corrosion industry. So what certification should they choose, for example, or should they start with coating, cathodic protection, inspection, or corrosion engineering? Which one makes the most sense for their experience level? So what I've learned from this conversation is that many people are willing to learn and invest in their professional development. So that is amazing. But they often don't know where to start. So it's incredible. And so that's why I believe one of the biggest challenges now for AMPP, I think, and for the companies is the lack of personalized guidance. So guide people. So we have excellent certifications, training programs, technical societies, and learning resources, but navigating all those options can be overwhelming, I think. And in fact, I often think it would be valuable for our industry to have a more structured mentoring, our career guidance and system, a team of professionals or mentors who can help the students and professionals identify the best next step based on their goals, technical knowledge. And I think that the program, ambassador program, I think is a good option because we can talk with people, and I think that is very important to talk with people about and help them. So if there's one piece of advice I would give to students and earlier career professionals is this: don't try to navigate your career alone. Reach out to mentors, ask questions, connect with people in the industry. You've seen firsthand, whether at conferences, talk with people like us, ambassadors. So I think that it's very important. Another thing that I think is very important to talk now is also talk about cathodic protection or corrosion, not only universities. Now we have to talk that in schools. I think it's very important. Like we talk, for example, medicine or laws. So why not corrosion? So yeah, that's all.
Craig, you've trained thousands of professionals over your career. What are the changes that you've seen from the global workforce over the years? What's different with these people coming into the field in the 2020s relative to the 2010s or the 2000s? What's been the change when it comes to the workforce?
Ben, that's an excellent question. And I think the passion that both Paola and Harsh have shared so far really is very close to my way of thinking. And I just want to bounce maybe off some of the comments that Paola made, that folk do not have to navigate this, the corrosion career path alone. And I do believe that Paola's identified very clearly that for AMP, it's to try and create accessibility at a younger audience level. There are definitely significant shifts that I've seen. So I've probably worked with about 3,000 to 4,000 students globally over the past 20 years. And the most notable change for me, other than the access to knowledge, is this desire. There has to be a purpose, there has to be a passion, and there has to be a conviction or a motive behind education or a motive behind a career path. And that's why we see, for example, in first world or developed countries, that individuals between graduating college or school to their mid-20s will have changed jobs 7 times. And I think part of it is that conviction, motivation, and passion. And I think both Paola and Harsh represent all of those facets. And I believe that that is probably the most significant change in the workforce. If we're going to draw people into the corrosion industry, we're going to offer training, development, etc. It really has to be tailored to make sure that the information is accessible. But what is the compelling story that we tell? So if I put Harsh in front of someone, if I put Paola in front of someone, they'll be convinced that this is a good career path because of the enthusiasm that they carry with knowledge, with education. So I'm really excited about the future options that exist for the workforce and the choices they have.
Harsh, as someone that's a bit younger in their career, what do you see the industry doing well when it comes to attracting talent, and where are some of the areas that it can still improve?
Yeah, so I believe the future belongs to the engineer who combines strong technical fundamental and the communication which Craig and Paula mentioned. So those are the two fundamental things which I think young professional like me or they need to be develop this kind of skill to stay relevant within the industry. And I have mentioned couple of times in my conversation as well, like we need to build a solid foundations around whatever we have. So we have currently very ease of accessing all the information. So by that mean we need to have a solid fundamental to access all those readily available information and to consume those information, because if you don't have this strong fundamental at the very early stage or at your young professional career, so eventually you will be facing some of the challenge in downstream. And second thing which I just would like to touch upon what Craig has said, like people are keep on using in developed countries, people are using AI in their day-to-day work life and workforce. So that is also one of the important thing which I would like to elaborate based on my experience and thought. So if you are being like a traditionally a corrosion engineer and you are just relying on all the standards and everything, which is correct, no doubt in that, but you have so much good potentially available technology available in your hand. So why don't you utilize those technology to expedite your work within your organizations? I'm not saying that we need to adapt and build a software around AI, but can you identify some of the steps within your day-to-day work and you delegate those work to AI, so that the overall time will reduce and the quality will remain the same, because you are not giving AI a full permission to do each and every task end to end, but you are giving one piece and deliberately telling that, okay, this is the routine task which I do. You just need to extract some information. So what Craig has said about the statistics, right? So if you see in oil and gas plant, they generate a daily slides about their productions, how the plant behave, what's the historic trend, what is the output of one particular day. So those are the tremendous data which are being generated each and every second. So can AI help us to statistically analyze those data and find some outliers so that we'll able to know, okay, at this particular date, our operations are not aligned based on our past history. So those outliers are very easy to find with use of this new technology. So again, just to summarize all this, young professional needs to have a strong fundamental skill as well as some knowledge about how to use this AI technologies and how they'll come to know that which technology to use and how to use. If they have a solid fundamentals around their like corrosion engineering, material protection, cathodic protection, material selections, then they can due diligence some of the tasks to AI, right? And second thing which Craig and Paula both have mentioned about the communication. So this is also something which young professionals who are recently graduating from the college, they also need to emphasize on some of the skills. Like if they have a good knowledge about certain things, they need to explain to others. They need to convince others that, okay, I know something about this and you can rely on me. And people won't able to read minds, right? Even AI can't read minds. So someone needs to tell. So that's, I believe, one of the crucial thing about the workforce development, and where currently industry is heading, and where young professional like me and my team needs to improve is how we communicate our thoughts. Like whatever fundamentals we have, whatever we are, you know, getting help from the AI, can we summarize those things and convey to the our higher management authority or wherever we are working efficiently, so that they know exactly what we try to communicate and what exactly we are trying to do with our corrosion management solution.
And Craig, I want to quickly follow up on that with you as someone that has a lot of high level experience and has been in a position of oversight. What do you see as the things that the industry can do better to help support what Harsh was just laying out? There's a lot of things that we're doing well, but what are the things that industry companies, industry bodies can do better to support those skills as Harsh was just laying out?
I really believe that one of the key areas that Harsh touched on, and I want to expand on that a bit, is the future communication skills that are required. So we'll have AI and other tools producing a lot of written material, maybe even voice material, video material. It is the fundamental understanding of that. So organizations need to encourage the use of these advanced tools, but they should also give young professionals an opportunity to present their thoughts on a public platform. And I think that is so critical. So it's being able to absorb, use the information, but then being able to communicate it. Because in the end, irrespective of what AI gives us, human beings are still going to be managing, implementing, testing, and reviewing the systems that are on the ground. So I really believe that as organizations, look for individuals that can be developed, give them an opportunity to develop solutions that they have to present, they have to defend, and then work from there. So I think communication skills are going to be critical, and organizations can develop that and give individuals opportunities to develop new tools.
Yeah, I think that's great perspective, and it's worth underscoring that communication skills are a two-way street, both for the young professionals, but also the leadership figures within the industry. That can be so critical to bridging the gaps on both sides. Paola, I want to bring you in on this topic because we're obviously starting to talk more about the future and what the next 5 or 10 years may look like. From your perspective, how can organizations better support career development and knowledge transfer to that next generation of the workforce?
Okay, so I think that I am going to echo what my colleagues Craig and Harsh said and offer a few examples for reflection. So I think one of the best way organization can support career development and knowledge transfer is by creating more opportunities for people to connect and learn from each other. Now, of course, training courses and certification are important, but knowledge transfer is not only about formal training. It's about people, conversation, and shared experiences throughout my career, whether at conferences such as I attended in Italy or through LinkedIn, I've had many conversations with students and professionals looking for example, guidance, like I said, and they ask questions about certifications. And what I've learned is that many people don't necessarily need more information. They need more connection. That's why I believe initiatives like ambassador programs are so valuable. They help create visibility, but more importantly, they create a more human connection between professionals and the community. When someone sees an ambassador sharing their career journey, their technical experiences, lessons learned from projects, or even challenges they faced, it becomes much easier for students and earlier career professionals to relate to that person and feel comfortable reaching out. Sometimes a technical paper can teach you a concept, for example, but a conversation with someone who has lived that experience can teach you confidence. I also think podcasts, for example, like this one, webinars and discussions groups can play a huge role. Imagine having a monthly session dedicated to a specific topic, whether it's coating, cathode protection, inspection, asset integrity, or even career development. People could join, ask questions, exchange ideas, and learn from professionals with different backgrounds and experience. So one thing I am particularly passionate about is helping people navigate their careers. I often receive messages for professionals asking which certification is the right one for them. And I think that it's very important to know that we have to communicate with other people, have a relationship with other people, talk about technical things or even personal things. But I think that organization now can do more by fostering community, supporting ambassador programs, for example, encouraging mentorships and creating regular opportunities for people to have meaningful conversations, because at the end of the day, knowledge transfer is not just about sharing information. It's about building relationships, sharing experiences, and helping people feel connected to the profession and to each other. Because, now with the technology, we are not connected now. It's difficult. So, and I think that it's very important now to return in that sign that we need to talk with people and exchange ideas and advices. So, yeah, that is my point of view.
Craig, as a leadership figure in the industry, what do you think is going to define success for corrosion industry professionals over the next 5 or 10 years? What does a successful career arc look like in adapting to some of these challenges and opportunities that we've laid out today?
I believe, Ben, that it's critical that there's still an practical aspect to work. And for many younger folk entering the industry, I think the frustration, and I think this is critical to be very honest, it's starting off generally with very low pay, long hours, working in uncomfortable locations. What I would like to encourage young professionals to do is, if you can lean into that for a year or two or longer, I reckon typically 2 to 3 years would be amazing if you can get exposed to that, understand the real world in the field, understand the actual applications, because we're seeing more and more individuals enter for interviews that have got all the textbook knowledge. They've got tremendous CVs in terms of colleges or universities or certification, but the connection to the practical world is lacking. So that's one leg that I really think is absolutely critical, is there's still a desperate need to get your eyes on, hands on. So all our senses are there for a reason, that we can see, touch, feel, hopefully not taste corrosion, but that we can see those elements as all part of the learning process. They accelerate learning. If you just go through audio or through visual, through video or otherwise, there's a specific pathway for learning there, and I think it restricts a well-rounded engineer. The real success is a foundation. It's not an endless one. The second one is the ability to read, assimilate, and process information. Both Paola and Harsh have highlighted that very, very articulately, and they've done really well. And then the third part, I believe, is the noise surrounding the use of AI and AI tools. I think it will settle, and there's going to be a median, a more regulated median of how people use it, the application, being honest about the use of it. And then again, the final comment is, once you've got these skills, you're still going to have to be able to communicate, speak clearly. And that would be something I would really want to encourage young professionals to do. If your pronunciation of certain words, your language skills are lacking, the ability to communicate clearly are lacking, get the tools to develop that skill, because you will stand in front of individuals and you're going to have to convince them using language, irrespective of the language you speak, be able to articulate very clearly what your thoughts are. And I think both Paola and Harsh have been an amazing example of how to do that.
All right. So as we wind down today's podcast, I want to try and leave off on an optimistic note. So to bring this full circle, as we look to the future, what gives each of you the most optimism about the future of corrosion engineering? Same question to all three of you. Harsh, we can begin with you.
Yeah, I would just like to sum up everything and trying to be more optimistic about the new trends and AI technology. So I would like to say currently what Craig has just said, that we have a lot of AI tools available within the market, but as I mentioned multiple times regarding engineering judgment, thinking with the first principle, that will remain undisputed irrespective of whether AI is going to be advanced way much, or if you are going to rely on AI, doesn't matter. Those thinking with the first principle, engineering judgment, you know those are the fundamental things which can't be replaced by any kind of AI, because that is something people have developed skills throughout their career. And like Craig has told that even I learned some of the things from the Craig and his experience, because he travels the world, teaches a lot of different students, and those experience cannot be replicated by any kind of AI. So that is the most critical things which everyone needs to understand as of now, that AI can do all sorts of job and it can replace. And why we need to study corrosion engineer when AI can do some of the basic corrosion calculation. So no, that is not the case. But trying to be more optimistic about the AI, I would like to say indeed AI is helping a lot. Even if I would like to say my own example, I'm utilizing AI in some of the workflow when I'm working with clients and delivering my output. So I've seen historically a couple of years back when I used to do risk-based inspection and other sorts of thing. So it generally takes me a week or so time just to validate and give some generate some Excel and everything. But this AI and all, I am able to generate some of the things. Of course, those are not proprietary information, just for my own use to expedite my own work and how I am delivering my output. So I have seen, quite good response within myself. Like I'm able to deliver more quality work because, of course, if I'm saying particular things to AI, it is able to follow particular order very well. So AI can help us in those fields and areas. But again, I am emphasizing, highlighting on two critical points about engineering fundamentals and the knowledge and the experience which everyone has, that won't be replicated and translated by AI. And second thing, the communication. So what Craig has just said, I'll just briefly wanted to take few moments about that, because that is something which I also personally do and try to improve myself in terms of communication. So indeed, AI can do some of the things where you are lacking, like communication. So you can do some of the upscaling program and create your own chatbot or model where you can just talk and improve on your grammar, your articulation, how you communicate your thought, how you break down your thoughts and try to explain in more simplistic manner. So those are the things which kind of, I would say, very fascinated about the AI and how it will improve not only individuals' life in terms of their day-to-day work, but their holistic growth as an individual.
Paola, over to you. What makes you optimistic about the future of corrosion engineering and where we're headed over the next 5 or 10 years?
Looking ahead 5 years, what gives me the most optimism about the future of corrosion engineering is the combination of people, education, and technology. As I shared in my article, one of our biggest challenges is the limited awarenesses of corrosion-related careers and the gap between industry demand and the number of qualified professionals. At the same time, I've seen firsthand how early exposure, mentorship, and education can inspire students to pursue this field and help build the next generation of specialists. So it's an example. For example, Harsh and Craig, for me, they are an inspiration for me. So, and I am also excited about how technology now is transforming our industry. As asset owners increasingly prioritize integrity, safety, and sustainability, advanced monitoring systems and digital tools and data-driven approach are helping us make better decisions. So that's very important, I think, and manage infrastructure more effectively. So combine it with the expertise of well-trained professionals. This innovation have the potential to significantly improve corrosion prevention strategies. I think it's very important. And most importantly, I believe the future is bringing because more companies, educators, and industry organizations are investing in talent development. That it's very important. And by bringing corrosion awareness into schools, universities, and technical institutes while embracing new technologies, we can create a stronger, more diverse, and highly skilled workforce. And I think that it's very important to now for more sustainable future.
And Craig, over to you. What's your bull case, your optimistic case for the next few years?
I think the most exciting part for me is that I got to share this conversation with Paola and Harsh, because to me they are prototypes of what's coming. It's almost like a foreshadowing. Young folk, passionate, got knowledge, got skills, well spoken. They are working transnationally across different areas. And I think the last comment I'll make there is that as an educator and working globally with AMP, I see that our program has relevance today, and my real excitement is that there seems to be an increasing number of younger folk wanting to do our entry-level courses. So your young professionals are definitely looking for certification and skills and knowledge, as Harsh and Paola have shared previously. And what I'm noticing is the age demographic of our classes is definitely getting younger, which is really exciting. In the past, you'd have mid-level career folk and older that were sent on courses for training almost as obligation by organizations. But now you're seeing that HR departments are actively moving that demographic younger. We're seeing younger people come through, and I sincerely believe that AMP's training courses and the programs we offer are market ready, and they can assist in the transition for this workforce that we really need in the years ahead. So very exciting. And Ben, thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Harsh, before we close out, I think I saw your hand go up. Was there something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just would like to add one more thing about the future of corrosion engineer within down the 5 years or within 5 years is people and organization will move from active corrosion management to reactive and proactive corrosion management. It won't stay on paper, lying on some spreadsheet and everything. It will move more dynamic. It will move more towards the risk-based inspections and kind of optimizing and how we are optimizing the corrosion resources and the corrosion data which we have. So we can see this dynamic shift from active to reactive approach. So yeah, that's the one thing which I remember and would like to add. So thank you.
And all three of you are on LinkedIn, correct? If any of our viewers or listeners want to get in touch with you, I'm guessing LinkedIn's one of the simplest ways to do that, right?
It's correct, Ben.
All right. Well, I think we can leave off there. It's always good to close out on a positive note. So with that, we can put a bow on this corrosion engineering themed episode. I want to once again thank all three of our ambassadors for taking part, as well as all of you out there watching and listening. And if you want more resources from our team here at AMP, before our next episode, just search for AMP at your podcast home or social media outlet of choice, or simply go to amp.org, where we've got a special page that's being continually updated with all of our 5th anniversary content. Have a great day.